episode of Beyond the Present podcast. I'm Daniel Muggett, and today we're talking about mood management and how to make decisions without the direct influence of your transitory mood. You see, guys, if you want to make good decisions in life, you have to understand that your emotions will always, almost always, play a big role in those decisions. You might think of yourself to be a very rational person, a very logical and thoughtful person, but understand this, we're all humans. Boys and girls, men and women, doesn't really matter, young and old, we're all emotional creatures, which means emotions will always have an impact on how we feel and, more importantly, on how we make decisions. Which is why today I want to help you understand the importance of mood management and how to train your mind and body to make decisions without the direct influence of your temporary mood at that very second. So let's get started. Why is it important to start the process of managing your mood and knowing why you should not make decisions under the influence of that temporary mood? Because guess what? Take a look at your life right now. Think of all the decisions you've made throughout your life. Think of all the things you did that you're proud of and all the things that you feel like, well, I could have done that differently. If you take a good look at those decisions, you realize your very best decisions in life almost never came under the strong influence of an emotion. At the same time, probably your best decisions that you made were the ones that you made more rationally in a cool state of mind. On the other hand, think of some of the decisions you made while influenced by negative emotions. Think anger, think insecurity, think fear, think feeling upset, feeling negative, feeling hurt. Most of the time, the decisions you made after feeling those negative emotions were the kind of decision that you later regretted making. Why? Because that's who we are as humans. We humans tend to make far poorer decisions when under the influence of negative emotions. It's proven. There's been research done on this subject for years and years, and everyone agrees that when we are under the influence of negative emotions, we tend to make very, very poor decisions that we later on regret. Which is why, if you want to be a good decision maker, not just for yourself or your corporation, but like throughout every aspect of your life and your relationships, you have to understand the importance of making decisions without being directly influenced by those negative emotions. So you may say like, well, Dan, good for you, but I'm a moody person. I tend to, feel different emotions all the time. And, I might feel great today, then it's hot, then it's cold, then it's hot again. You're right. We tend to experience moodiness from time to time. Every single one of us does that. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what gender you are. We all experience those moody feelings from time to time. Now, some of us tend to experience that a little bit more than the others, but we all experience them from time to time. And that is exactly why today I wanted to talk a bit about how you can actually control those emotional feelings that you have at this moment. And obviously, the most important thing you have to do right now is to understand that if you want to make good decisions, you almost always have to get rid of bad emotions. And know this, anytime you're about to make any decision under the strong influence of a negative emotion, you are very much likely are going to regret it. So just by having this awareness, you will then know, oh my gosh, I got to be very careful. You see, anytime you're about to make any decision under the influence of a negative emotion, always, always, always remember that you have a very high chance of making a very bad decision. That is why this simple awareness is going to act like a bumper that's going to slow you down a little bit. You see, once you are aware of the fact consciously that being under the influence of a negative, emotion or bad mood, you are going to make a bad decision. You're like, listen, man, I'm feeling bad emotions right now, which means whatever decision I make right now will probably be a bad decision, especially when look back, in the future. So let's not make that decision right now. Let's take a break, which is exactly what you're going to do next. You see, whenever, you feel you're under the influence of very strong negative emotion, the best thing you can do is to postpone making any decision to a later date. You can be let's say you're talking to someone and that conversation brings about some bad emotions. You feel a little bit angered or hurt or upset or whatever. And then at that moment, you feel that negative emotion surging throughout your body. So you have an option in that case to make whatever decision your emotions tell you to make, but the chances are you're going to regret that later on. So what you got to do instead is to simply tell the other side, oh, I understand what you said. I get your point, but right now I should probably take a break. I have to think more about this issue, and I'll get back to you very soon. And then leave the place or the conversation and let the time control your mood a little bit. Because believe me, no matter what feeling you have right now, how strong you feel that, almost all negative emotions are temporary because they are not, in a way that is sustainable. So your body and your mind is not designed to handle negative emotions for too long. Because of survival factors, the body is designed to get rid of that negative emotion over time. That's why they say time heals all wounds. Well, that's true, because that's how the human nervous system is actually wired. And throughout the evolutionary process, the brain has been programmed in a way that it's designed to get over almost everything. That's the point. That's why they say time heals all wounds, and that's true. So in that moment, when you're feeling that anger, understand this. Whatever decision you make at that moment, whatever you say in response, in anger, feeling hurt or upset or insecure, well, if you act on that, then you have made that emotion permanent. And the result of that, decision or that expression that you made in that state will last forever. On the other hand, if you take a step back and say, you know what, let me just think about this matter. I'll get back to you very soon. You take a step back and you let time cool you down. Later on, you realize, well, the emotion was temporary. The impact that it had on you was temporary, and the results were nothing. I did not act on that emotion. I did not make a decision under the influence of that strong emotion. And guess what? I now have the chance to make a rational decision. So anytime something happens like this, maybe you get a message or email, makes you feel outraged, like, how the hell do you think that's going to work out? Who do you think you are? Or maybe you hear somebody say something and you feel angry or upset or hurt or afraid and whatnot. Or you watch the news and then people are saying like, oh, this is happening right to the economy, and you get like panic and you want to do something right now. So anytime you find yourself under the influence of that negative emotion, or generally you feel you have a very bad mood on that day, understand the best thing you can do to yourself and to your future self is to simply take a day off. That's it. I told you, take one day off if you can. Just simply say, you know what? I'm very scared about the news and I want to just sell everything and buy this particular thing that people think is going to save my money, or I'm really upset about what she told me and I really got to do something, or I feel very hurt about what my boss told me. At that very moment in situation, in that very second, you say, okay, you know what? Whatever decision I make right now will probably not be the best decision I will make. Whether it is to decide to where to invest my money and to sell my assets and buy something else, whether it is to, fight back at them and get really angry and start a fight, or whether it is to get really upset or hurt and start crying and feel bad, whatever that emotion might be, at that very stage, your negative emotion will compel you to make a bad decision. And the chances are you will regret that decision later on. Because of that, knowing this in advance, you say, you know what? Doesn't matter what I do right now. It's probably going to be a bad thing. So you know what? Let's just not do anything. Let's take a step back. And I'll think about this. I'll come back and give yourself a day off, particularly about that situation. So go do something else. I don't know, go out, go for a jog, go talk to some other friends. I don't know, distract yourself a little bit, go to the gym. Whatever you do, just simply stop making that decision for one day. Ironically, this little exercise, it requires definitely a certain amount of self-discipline and self-control to do that. This one, if practiced regularly enough, will save you a lot of headaches and a lot of hard moments in your life. It also sometimes helps you save many relationships that would have otherwise been ruined and damaged if you had decided but to continue with that emotion and to say something mean in response or get angry or shout back or whatever it is. So this is going to save not only your future self, but also your relationship. So why not? Why not practice the art of taking a step back? So you're saying, well, Dan, what if the other side wants an answer right now? Well, you can ask yourself, I can give this guy an answer he wants right now because I'm feeling angry, so probably he won't get the answer he wants anyways, and I will later regret it, so why give it to him? Listen, truly appreciate it. I understand your proposal. I have some other thoughts about it, but can I think about it and then get back to you tomorrow? You see, by just putting time and taking a step back and letting time take care of this matter, by placing time between the stimulus and the response. So that stimulus is whatever thing that triggered that angry feeling, and the response is what you do about it. By putting some distance between the stimulus and the response, you will be able to handle the whole thing properly and well. And ironically, in most cases, if you feel like, well, that's just probably, I don't know, I should probably make a decision right now, you will realize eventually that you've made the best decision because you now took a step back. So you'll think about this logically and rationally, make it easier for yourself to make better decisions. And guess what's going to happen? You will feel that you've made the best decision, and you probably have even saved that relationship that you'd have otherwise permanently damaged if you had continued with that negative feeling. You see, the things that you feel are temporary. The things that you do under the influence of those feelings are permanent. If you feel anger towards someone and say something mean to that person in that moment, the damage that you've caused on that relationship will be permanent, even though the feeling of anger was temporary and you will forget about it the next day. That's what happens. That's called regret. You get super angry at your boss. You start yelling at him. The next day you forgot about the feeling of anger, but then you get a message. It was nice working with you, and you just got fired. And he's like, oh my gosh, how could I not control my feeling? You get really angry at your boyfriend, and you start shouting and screaming at that moment, and then the next day, the boyfriend doesn't want to meet you anymore. You see, that feeling was temporary, but the response and the result of that was permanent. So if you want to live a good life, you have to never, ever, ever allow the temporary feelings to lead to permanent results and consequences in your life. And the way to do so is to always put some time between the stimulus and the response, especially if it's a new or novel case, or especially if you're feeling negative emotions. Tell yourself, whatever decision I make, whatever response I offer, whatever expression I have, whatever words I use when under the influence of a negative emotion will probably be inferior or way worse than what I would say or do if I was under the influence of a positive emotion or simply in a neutral state. Knowing that, you know, what I'm about to say right now is going to be a bad thing. What I'm about to do right now is going to be a bad thing because you know you're under the influence of bad emotion. So by simply putting that time between stimulus and response, you will then understand, okay, you know what? I know what I'm going to do right now. I'll probably regret it. So you know what? Let's just take a break for a second. So, honey, I'll get back to you hopefully tomorrow. I'm just going to think about this a little bit. Or, sir, I understand your concerns as a buyer. Things are very, very tough. I know you're very upset that this didn't include the warranty you wanted, but let me talk to my manager. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Instead of shouting back at the man like, who the hell do you think? You just bought us just one product and now you're shouting on the phone because of a failed warranty. So you can do that and lose that customer along with all the other customers you would have had if that customer had brought some, referrals. Or you could simply take a step back and not get so upset, right? This process of teaching your mind not to act under the influence of negative emotions will save you not only a lot of money, but a lot of relationships and a lot of nerves because you just don't want to get so upset. People who are always reacting negatively to negative emotions are the ones who get into a lot of trouble. They're feeling unhappy. They're feeling upset all the time. They don't have good relationships. They can't maintain those relationships, and they end up feeling a little bit lonely and unhappy. So don't do that. Train your mind from today that anytime I feel negative emotions, I give myself some time, and I do not make any decision or respond in any way when under the influence of a strong negative mood or a strong negative emotion. And see what that does to your life and how will this transform every facet of your life. All right, guys, that's all the time we had for today. Hope you enjoyed it. And make sure there's always time between the stimulus that you receive and the response that you give. That's it. This was Beyond the Present Podcast, and I am Daniel Morgan. Have a good one.